It's 106 degrees outside, and I just made the most gorgeous loaf of bread, and I didn't even turn on my oven. I used my air fryer instead. My name is Kathy, and on this channel, I empower people to actually use their air fryer. And if you haven't made homemade bread in your air fryer yet, keep watching. Today, I'm gonna show you 5 tips for making the perfect loaf of soft, fluffy Pullman bread using just 6 ingredients in 5 simple steps. You ready to see it? Let's go. Today, we're gonna make a loaf of Pain de Mie, pardon my French, hopefully I'm saying that right, which is essentially a loaf of beautiful white, crustless white bread. This recipe and method was shared with me from Richard in Chicago via Twitter. Thank you, Richard. So tip number 1, we're gonna use a Pullman loaf pan. This pan is a lidded baking pan, and this is what you use to make a perfectly square loaf of bread. Now, in Richard's air fryer, he can use this larger pan. I think it's like 8.5 inches wide and 4.5 inches tall, but you'll see it doesn't fit in my Kasori air fryer. It's too tall, but not a big deal because I found these other smaller ones. They still make great bread. These are about 8 inches, so there's still room on the sides, and just under 3 inches tall. And it's cool because I really can still fit 2 of these in the air fryer. It works with both of these. I will leave links down in the video description box to all of the tools that I'm using today for this yummy bread. And bonus, the lid protects the top from burning too. Now I'm gonna use my stand mixer, my KitchenAid. You can use a bread machine or even your hands if you need to. Tip number 2, you've got to use a digital scale. This is gonna help give you precise measurements, which is important when you're making bread. So first we're gonna weigh the flour. Place your mixing bowl right here on the scale. Now look here, there's a little button to change the unit of measurement. You wanna put it on grams. And before you start adding food, make sure you clear it out by pressing the tare button so it says 0. Then just scoop some flour into the bowl, and you want to get it to 375 grams of flour for this recipe. Now that we have that, tap the tare button. It's going to level it out to 0 again, and you're going to add in 118 grams of lukewarm water and then 123 grams of milk. That's a half cup of each. Tap the tare button again and then add in 56 grams or 4 tablespoons of room temperature or just slightly softened butter. Now, if you're like me, you're not good at planning ahead. Which leads me to tip number 3. This one I learned from Natasha's kitchen. Just fill a glass with some super hot boiling water, then drain it out, and then place a paper towel on a plate, stand the butter upright on the paper towel, and then set that hot glass right over the butter, and then let it sit there for 5 to 6 minutes, and you have perfectly soft room temperature butter. And yes, you could try this in the microwave, but I have found I rarely get consistent results when it comes to softening butter in the microwave. So thank you for this tip, Natasha. But lucky me, I did have some soft butter on a butter dish, so I'm just gonna drop in 56 grams. Okay, then hit the tare button and add in 25 grams of sugar. Hit the tare button again, add in 7 grams of salt, hit the tare button again. And with those small ingredients, it maybe would be better to put them in a dish and measure them out separately so you don't accidentally pour too much in your bowl. You need about 8 grams of that instant yeast. Now the instant yeast is so awesome because you don't have to proof it beforehand. So if you don't have instant yeast, you can just use any active dry yeast. You'll need to proof that beforehand. Just use that lukewarm water and the sugar and the yeast together to get it activated. Then when everything's layered in there, it's time to turn on your mixer. You just want it to work until it's nice and soft and smooth. And of course, when it comes to bread, humidity and elevation always makes a difference. So if you're in a drier climate, you might need to add in a little bit more milk or water. Just add like a teaspoon at a time. If you're in a more humid climate, you might need to add in a little bit more flour. Again, just a tablespoon at a time for that. In the end, you just need some soft, elastic, tacky dough. You can see how it's a little bit bouncy. This is looking just right. So go ahead and take the dough out of the bowl and just knead it with your hands a little bit more. It should be easy to work with, but not super dry. And then just form it into a nice little ball, which leads me to tip number 4. Lightly spray your bowl with some oil and then place your dough right inside of it to rise. This will help the dough come out of the bowl later with ease. Then just get a light towel or plastic wrap that you lightly spray. That's what I'm gonna do today. And cover up your bowl. And then depending on how warm your kitchen is, you're gonna need need 1 to 2 hours to let it rise. All right, here we are about an hour-ish later. I told you it was a super hot day today, and this dough is looking perfect, bouncy, fluffy, yummy. Just go ahead and turn the dough out. I like to use my silicone mat here and just lightly punch it down. You're gonna just be getting the air bubbles out. Since I'm dividing this into 2 loaf pans, I do like to measure it and be pretty precise here. So there you see 743 grams. I'm just gonna eyeball this. Alexa, what's 743 divided by 2? And oh my goodness, there it is. I just have the perfect eyeball, right? You cannot get any closer than that. Woohoo! So the next step is to use your pan as your guide and just press your dough out. You're gonna kind of just push out some bubbles and kind of make it that same width of the pan. And then when you have a nice little square, you just roll it up. Just kind of do it a little tight so you're getting air bubbles out. Pinch the seam together. Oops, I almost forgot to tell you to grease your pan. You could also line it with butter if you wanted to. Then just plop your dough right into the pan. And it's ready. So at this point, you could cover them up if you want, but I do like to watch my bread rise, so I'm just gonna use that same plastic wrap and lightly cover it, and that should need just about 30 minutes to rise. Here they are, looking good. You just want them to rise to about an inch, half inch above the rim. Then just slide on the covers. You could do 2 at a time. You don't have to though. That second one doesn't lay totally flat because of the curve, but that's okay. It still cooks up nicely. I'm not even preheating my air fryer. I'm gonna go 370, and I found 22 minutes seems to be the magical number. If you have a different air fryer that the larger pan will fit in, you'll wanna go for 30 minutes on that one. My kitchen smells divine. And here's a trick my 13-year-old came up with for getting these pans out. Just lift the lip of the pan with your tongs until you can get a hold of it with a hot pad. Now here's a pro tip. I have a free download where I list out all of the internal temperatures for all the meats and baked goods. Plus I have 18 air fryer tips on that download too. It's totally free for you. I've got a link down below for you to ask for that, and I'll email it to you. If your bread's not up to about 200 degrees, just pop it in for 3 to 5 more minutes and then check it again. And for bread, we want it to hit about 200 degrees. Check it out, it's perfect. Just turn it out. You'll want to have a cooling rack so the bread can cool completely. Then when it's ready, gently slice it and you have perfect sandwich bread. It's so good. I've got 3 tips to help you make perfect juicy chicken right here, and I think you're gonna like this video as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.